Hello everybody, this is Dr. Novak. If this is your first time here, welcome to my channel. I was, in 2022, I did a review on this Hygger auto top-off system here. It's an HD 987. And I found it to work okay. I tried it out on the 90-gallon aquarium and it worked fine. But I thought I would give you an update. After using it and testing it, and here it is, 2024, this is a review to let you know long-term of what I think of this particular product. Now, how this product works is kind of like your garage door opener, if you can think about it, where you have the eyes at the bottom of the door, and if anything breaks the beam, what happens? The garage door goes back up. Basically, this works the same way. It's sending a beam, and that beam goes, and if it's broken, it tells the whole thing whether you shut off. So if the water breaks the beam, it shuts off. And it has maybe like 3 beams in it. One will say when it's too low, the other will say it's too high, and the other one in the center will say that's what you fill it to. So after this many years, I'll give you a little insight on it in case you don't want to go back in the archives and watch it. But the water pump refill is blue, and there's a plug in there, and that goes to the water pump, self-explanatory. External optical sensor. What that is a sensor that goes into your refill bucket, and it will sense when the water in the bucket gets too low and shuts it down so it doesn't burn out the motor. Pretty unique little thing, so your motor never goes too low that it will destroy the motor. And then, of course, your red light would be the power adapter. It's a 12 volt, 5 watt. So the motor is a DC 12 volt motor. Okay, so when I used it on the 90 gallon, the only thing I really found is the glass, which is 10 millimeters thick. It really wasn't very user-friendly with thicker glass. I think they claim it will do up to 1/2 inch, but I found it that it wasn't as accurate when you used thicker glass. That's just me. So it's made, I think, more for sumps or aquariums with thinner glass. Now, I've tried it on all my aquariums just to see how well it worked. Antique aquarium, my aquarium out in the Lanai. Now the brand new aquarium that I have, which is the Innovative Marine Nouveau Fusion 15 Cube. And that's that aquarium, which is a desktop aquarium. And I'm using that on that because it has a weir in it and a sump. Basically, it's connected to the back of the aquarium. The sump is. So it has a tendency to have water evaporate a little faster. One way I tried to get the water to stop evaporation is I bought the lid for it that has a screen. Basically, it's for marine fish not to jump out. And all I did is go to my local hardware store, got a piece of glass cut to fit inside that, not plexiglass. Plexiglass warps. Okay, so went to my local hardware store. They had 1/8 inch thick glass, non-tempered. They cut it for me, and it fits perfect. My opening was 10 by 8 and 7/8 was the opening. So that glass kind of helps with to kind of hinder evaporation or slow it down. It doesn't mean evaporation still isn't going to happen, but it slowed it down. That's the nature of the beast when you have a sump, I noticed. Even with the aquarium, the 90 gallon, where I just have a weir, evaporation seems to happen because the top is open. So if you have aquariums that don't have glass tops, they're going to evaporate a lot more. In fact, the 90 gallon can evaporate as much as a 1/2 gallon of water a day. This one doesn't evaporate as much, but it still evaporates maybe about in the container, which contains the reservoir that I have, contains maybe 1.5 gallons of water, and it lowers about an inch or less of water within a 24-hour period. Like I said, it depends on, I guess, your house and how much it will evaporate during the summer or during the winter. But with that, in order to keep a aquarium running smoothly that has a weir and a sump, or a weir because they seem to evaporate, or it doesn't have a lid on it, and you want to go away or not mess around with it, it's good to have an auto top off. Now, I do use an auto top off in the 90 gallon. That is a Tunzi. And the Tunzi comes with a pump, and it looks like a small sump pump, and it comes with a float switch. Now, I had to modify the float switch because leaves and snails kept getting caught inside of where the float switch is, and I had to cut all that plastic away. And once I did that, no more problems with the Tunzi. And about 1.5 years after owning the Tunzi, the first thing that went out was the motor. So it was over 1.5 years old. I had to go buy a new motor. I just bought it off of Amazon. I matched up the same motor, same Tunzi motor. I think it was like $35, and it's been running ever since. So that's going on 4 years old, which is good. If you think about it, that's the biggest problems I've had with it, which I fixed both of them. So let's get into the Hygger auto top off and what problems have I had with that. Well, one was it didn't seem to work as well on thick glass. So if you have a aquarium, you'd like to top it off, I don't know if the beam's just not powerful enough, but it was having problems. Where on thinner glass aquariums, or even on thinner glass sumps and stuff, has no problems on it at all. It will not work with tinted glass. It will not work with, let's say, if you have a background or a black background or a background, it will not work. It has to be clear glass to work because it works off the same principle as your garage door. One of the problems that I heard people having is with the piece that goes inside the aquarium. And that particular piece gets dirty and it needs to be taken out and needs to be cleaned, because that is the thing that's going to reflect the beam or the light back to the sensor and tell it where the water is. If it's not clean, it's not going to accurately tell you anything. I myself have cleaned it, and I use a light bleach solution to clean it about every 4 to 6 months. And I found a light bleach solution, let it sit in there for half hour to an hour. It cleans it by killing off any algae that maybe's grown on it, any bacteria growth that's on it is completely killed off, and any slime that's on it is completely killed off. I rinse it off real good and I reuse it, and it seems like that's the trick of keeping it nice and clean, with a solution of bleach and water, and letting it sit in there for a half hour, that particular piece only. The piece that goes on the outside, you don't have to do anything with. That seems to be a complaint that people said it worked fine for so many months and then it started acting up. Well, if the beam can't get back to the device that actually sees whether or not the beam has been broken or not, then it's not going to perform right. So I kind of looked up some of the complaints that people said about this auto top off. Now, I have not had a problem with it. Yes, it requires maintenance, but Even the Tunzi, which costs quite a lot of money, requires maintenance. In fact, even the Red Sea top off, which is a $200 automatic top off, requires maintenance. These are not maintenance free items, is what I'm saying. So some of the problems I saw was the pump died after a certain amount of time. Well, so did my Tunzi one. And they said they tried to get a new one from Hygger and they couldn't get one. Well, the pump shouldn't be a problem because it's just a 12-volt DC pump, which they sell on Amazon. So that shouldn't be a problem of cutting the wire and putting connectors, a male and female connectors, and connecting up a brand new pump. If you have any skill level, you could do that. So far, my pump is running fine. Another problem that was brought up is that it would start a siphon and siphon some of the water out of the aquarium. Well, that's only because if you're using the tank connector and siphon tube that they give you, and that siphon tube is too low in the aquarium, if the aquarium fills up too much, it will, when it stops, it will just continue being a siphon. So you really have to watch that. And because of that, I've never really used that tube or that tank connection. I've always used the stainless steel U-shape. It's for airline tubing, which once again I bought off of Amazon. And I use the same thing for my 90-gallon. I've been using it for almost 4 years now. And I use this airline tubing. I also add a check valve in there just to make sure that nothing goes back. Do you have to add the check valve? No. It will never siphon. Once it stops, the water that's in the hose will just go back into the container that you're using to carry your water, and it won't siphon. It's high enough off the tank top. It won't start a siphon. So I've always used that. It fills it very slowly, and so the if you want to say the beam can read very accurately when to stop or when to start. So that's a good thing. The thing about this auto top off, another thing is it has an alarm. The alarm will go off if the tank water or the water in your sump goes too low and it hits maybe the beam or something like that. It automatically sends this alarm and lets you know, hey, something is malfunctioning. It also has an alarm in case it goes up too high. And this will be the blue and the green light will flash together, letting you know that the water's too high, that there's too much water in the tank or in the weir or in your sump. Pretty simple stuff. It was very easy to set up. Basically, it's plug and play. Plug everything in. Get yourself a container that will have water in it, and it will keep automatically filling your aquarium until the water runs out. And for somebody like me who's gone, this is a lifesaver, because if I left for 3, 4, 5 days, the water in the sump would go too low. And what happens with a lot of these aquariums, that if they don't have a lid completely on them, the water will evaporate so much that it will, in the sump, the water will get so low and begin to splash. And then the pump will pick up the air bubbles and blow the air bubbles all in the aquarium and make all kinds of noise because the sump is just too low. The aquarium itself does have a emergency overflow in case it gets too high, that the water will overflow into the sump, and it has that built into it. I guess that's to help prevent it from filling up too much, the desktop aquarium. But there are pros and cons about any of these top-off systems. And so me using this since 2022, the product has performed. I understand what its shortcomings are. So I have taken care of that, making sure that you clean the piece that's inside the aquarium. Make sure it's clean. You'll have to find out what your husbandry is going to be on cleaning that particular piece. Is it every month, every 2 months, every 4 months, every 6 months that you have to clean it? It's not quite like the Tunzi where you're using a float switch, and as long as it never gets jammed up, it will perform for years and years and years. Okay, it's not the same technology as that. The Tunzi uses a mechanical way of judging if the tank water is too low, and the Hygger uses more of what you'll see if you go out to buy them on, let's say, Amazon, these auto top-offs, using the more modern technology of auto top-offs. So that is my review of the Hygger auto top-off. I haven't had any problems with the pump. I haven't had any problems with the top-off. I know there's maintenance. So it's performed fine, and I've been using it since 2022, since I did my review, and I haven't had really any problems. As long as you understand that there is some maintenance on keeping the inside probe or reflector clean. As long as you keep that clean, it should read right. Now, I'm sure there's reviews of something breaking, or this got loose, or this broke. Well, that can happen to any product out there. But so far, it hasn't done it on me, and I've tried it on several different aquariums. Like I said, it seems to work best on thinner glass aquariums than it does thick glass, 10 millimeter aquariums. It seemed to have a little bit of problems. So until next time, that's the review on that. This is the update. It has worked fine for me since 2022. I don't really have any complaints. So in case you're thinking of buying one, read all the reviews on Amazon about it. See whether or not it's something you're going to like. Or if you want to pay the price of admission, you can get a better auto top-off if you're looking for one. Let's say I heard about the Red Sea one, but the Red Sea auto top-off is $200 just for an auto top-off. And a lot of auto top-offs are inexpensive. Well, they're like $50, $60, $70, around in that range, compared to the Tunzi, which I think is $125 or more. The Red Sea is $200, so you do understand it does have a price point. So that's the review. Stay tuned for more coming up, but if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. It does help the channel. You know the routine. So until next time, this is Dr. Novak. Happy fish keeping, and thank you for watching.